Hello everyone and welcome to my Bachelor Nation 24 channel, I hope. Everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Chock Chapple hits back at the Golden Bachelorette critics who called him a man with no commitments. Chock Chapple is the winner of the Golden Bachelorette. He received the final rose and is currently engaged to Bachelor Nation star Joan Vassos, after beating out 23 other men for the top spot. But being the winner doesn't come without criticism. That's something Chock knows all too well, as he's been critiqued for several weeks now. Even Pascal Abu called Chock a stalker before eventually apologizing and admitting he was out of line for what he said. Viewers are likely to be less apologetic for what they've said about him, but that hasn't stopped Chock from responding and defending himself. Chock Chapple defends himself against claims he has no commitments. Many reality stars can attest to the fact that no one gets away from a stint on TV without some criticism, whether it's deserved or not. Now, Chock is feeling that way too. After the Golden Bachelorette, viewers took aim at his relationship before he met Joan Vassos over the summer. After getting divorced following a 12-year marriage, Chock had another long-term relationship with Kathy, whom he talked about on the show. They were together for 9 years before she passed away. But despite their lengthy relationship, Chock and Kathy did not get married. It turns out that their decision not to marry had nothing to do with cold feet or a lack of commitment. In an interview with Us Weekly, Chock explained, "There's a little bit of backstory on this, and I want to explain this because I did catch some heat on social media for being a guy with no commitments." Chock continued, "I had a great marriage for 12 years. This happens to more than 50% of the people," it ended. "And then I was involved with someone for 9 years. We both had kids in elementary and high school, and she was very adamant about getting the kids out of school before we got married. That was a decision that I supported," Chock shared. "And the reason why I bring that up is I wanted to get married. I wanted to show Joan how committed I was to her and how much I loved her." Joan and Chock are already working on Chapter 2. Chock is already proving how committed he is to Joan and to enjoying their golden years. Just days after the Golden Bachelorette finale, the pair jumped on a plane to New York City. They spent the weekend sightseeing and shopping before searching for an apartment to share. Now they're headed back to Maryland to spend time with Joan's family and let everyone get to know Chock better. So far, Joan and Chock have been inseparable as they get to know each other even better following the end of the season. Chock Chapple had seen it all in his lifetime, a whirlwind of experiences that molded him into the charismatic, self-assured man who graced the Golden Bachelorette. But as he stood in front of his cabin, nestled in the heart of Montana's pristine wilderness, sipping his morning coffee, he couldn't shake the sting of recent criticisms. Social media, that modern-day arena of gladiatorial verbal combat, had branded him a man with no commitments. The words played on repeat in his head, a relentless echo threatening to undermine everything he believed about himself. But Chock was no stranger to challenges. This time, however, it was personal. The comments began after Chock's hometown date, a memorable occasion where he chose to show Joan Vassos the life he cherished. Together, they explored his sprawling ranch, met the rescue horses he tended, and cooked a meal in his rustic kitchen. It was an intimate glimpse into his world, yet some fans weren't impressed. "This guy just wants to ride into the sunset alone," one commenter posted. "Chock's charming, sure, but where's the substance? No kids, no big relationships. He's not serious," another added. It didn't help that his life story lacked some of the conventional markers of commitment that other contestants flaunted: marriages, children, or high-profile careers. Chock had always chosen the road less traveled, a lifestyle that didn't fit the mold but defined him nonetheless. A legacy of freedom misunderstood. The critics didn't know the full story. Chock wasn't afraid of commitment. He was wary of the wrong ones. At 62, he had spent decades building a life around freedom, not the kind that shirked responsibility, but the kind that celebrated the ability to choose adapt, and give back. His younger years were spent as a wilderness guide, teaching others to respect and embrace nature. He helped rehabilitate injured wildlife, often sacrificing his own comfort for their survival. Commitment wasn't something Chock lacked, it was embedded in everything he did. But on the Golden Bachelorette, sound bites and snapshots ruled the day. People wanted bold declarations and grand gestures, the kind Chock didn't feel compelled to manufacture. When Joan asked him about his past relationships, his honesty struck a nerve. "I've loved deeply," he had said, his eyes steady. "But I've always believed in letting love grow naturally. I won't force something for the sake of appearances." The simplicity of his answer was refreshing to Joan, who herself had endured a life of obligations and societal expectations. But for some viewers, it was ammunition. Clapping back with grace, sitting in his cabin's sunlit corner that morning, Chock decided it was time to address the noise. He grabbed his phone and hit record, letting his authentic voice and rugged demeanor take center stage. "Hey there, everyone," he began, his voice calm but firm. "I've been reading some of the things people are saying about me, and I wanted to share a few thoughts. Not because I feel the need to defend myself, but because I believe in clarity." He paused, letting his words settle. Commitment looks different for everyone. Some people find it in marriage or raising a family. Others, like me, find it in dedicating their lives to causes and people they care about. I've spent my years building a life of purpose, helping animals, mentoring young people, and working to preserve the wilderness for future generations. That's commitment. It may not come with a wedding ring or a 9-to-5 job, but it's no less real. The video wasn't rehearsed or polished, but that was its magic. Chock spoke directly to his critics without anger or bitterness, dismantling their assumptions with the quiet strength that defined him. "Some folks say I'm afraid of settling down," he continued, a wry smile tugging at his lips. "But the truth is, I've never been afraid to stand still. I've just been waiting for the right person to stand still with." Joan's surprising defense. What Chock didn't expect was Joan Vassos herself coming to his defense. Shortly after his video went live, Joan shared it on her social media with a heartfelt caption. "Chock Chapple is one of the most genuine people I've ever met," she wrote. "His love for life and his dedication to others inspired me in ways I didn't expect. Criticism is easy, but understanding takes effort. I hope everyone takes the time to see Chock for who he truly is, a man of integrity and heart." The post went viral, sparking a wave of support for Chock. Fans began to reconsider their earlier judgments, with many admitting they had been too quick to label him. Critics rethink their words. "I think I misjudged Chock," one fan tweeted. "His life is a commitment to the things he values. That's pretty inspiring." Another added, "It's refreshing to see someone on these shows who isn't just here for drama. Chock's the real deal." Even some of Chock's harshest critics softened their stance. "I still think he's not right for Joan," a commenter admitted, "but I can respect his perspective now." The man with no regrets for Chock, the entire experience was a reminder of why he had joined the Golden Bachelorette in the first place. It wasn't to conform to anyone's expectations or win over the masses. It was to show up as himself and see if that was enough. As the days passed, Chock continued to focus on the things that mattered most: caring for his animals, volunteering at a local conservation project, and nurturing the connections he had formed on the show. He didn't need everyone to understand him. He just needed to remain true to himself. Looking back, he realized the criticism wasn't a reflection of his worth, but of the narrow lens through which people sometimes viewed the world. He wasn't a man with no commitments. He was a man committed to living fully, freely, and authentically. And for Chock Chapple, that was more than enough.